what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Box Talk with Luis Madrid. Today we're here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're joined by New Mexico's own Angelo and Chinito Leo. How are you doing today, Chad?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Good, thank you for giving me some time, man. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a long time coming, so I'm really excited for this one. To go ahead and get us started, can you talk to us just a little bit about your beginnings, just like your birthplace and what kind of childhood you had, what kind of upbringing you had?
Yeah. Well, if you guys know, I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and my dad got me into boxing when I was around 7 or 8 years old. First, I was in soccer, and then actually I was in karate first. I was in karate. My dad put me in karate. Then I was in soccer, and then those weren't. I didn't really care for those too much. And then my dad's like, why don't you try boxing? And I was like, all right. So I tried it. I started liking it. And then started fighting and started competing. And I started winning my fights. And that gave me that confidence. And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this stuff. So I just kept at it. And here we are now.
For sure. And so I personally have never been there. But I have heard that in New Mexico, it's a lot of crime, a lot of gangs and stuff like that. So how did you manage to kind of stay away from just crimes and gangs and anything like that?
Yeah. Well, I always had my dad there to keep me straight, but the gangs, the crimes, the drugs were always there. Especially where we lived at, it was really, it was basically like a barrio, it was South Valley. If you ask anyone from Albuquerque, they all know what the South Valley is. It's pretty rough part of town. And, there's a lot of gangs, especially when I was growing up. Not so much now, they kind of calmed down. But back, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, it was gang ridden all over the place. So, but I had my dad around, I had my grandma around. And so, they all kept me straight, kept me on the right path. My dad put me in boxing, and that, had all my focus.
I've heard some people, other fighters that I've interviewed before, they say boxing has you too tired to want to be out there anyways.
Yeah. I was always an energetic kid, I was always out and about, running around. So boxing, kind of balanced me out.
For sure. And so as far as your amateur career, at what age do you have your first amateur fight, and what type of amateur career did you have? Did you have any big national titles or tournaments or anything like that?
Yeah. So I started competing around 8 years old, and I won my first 10 fights. And then that was all locally. And then my first tournament was actually in Tucson, Arizona. Mm-hmm. It was a tournament called the Turquoise Gloves. And competed in that, and I lost in the finals. And after that, I fought in the Jean Lewis, competed in the Jean Lewis, and then Silver Gloves, and all the big tournaments in the U.S. You name them: Silver Gloves, Junior Olympics, Golden Gloves, and Junior Golden Gloves I won. In the Golden Gloves, I lost in the nationals in 2012. But the Silver Gloves, I was always in the regionals, and I think I got to the finals in the Silver Gloves, but I never won the Silver Gloves. But I was always in the mix with, all those fighters.
Okay, for sure. And so as far as the professional career, I believe you were 18 when you turned professional. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What led to for you to just say, I'm going to go ahead and just turn pro?
Well, my dad and my trainers from New Mexico, they had always told me that my style was a pro style. I wasn't like an amateur fighter with the point system or nothing like that. I had a real pro style, and my dad and my trainer had always had this thing, like when he turns 18, he's going to turn pro. And so, I fought the Golden Gloves. I lost in the Golden Gloves finals, and my dad's like, and my trainer was like, I think it's time for you to turn pro. And I agreed with him. I was like, I'm ready to turn pro. At the time, we were living in California, but I moved back to Albuquerque just because California was too expensive. We couldn't afford it at the time, so we moved back to Albuquerque. And that's when we got in contact with Johnny Tapio's wife, and she was throwing fights, Johnny Tapio Promotions and all that, and she put us on the card in November 17th of 2012, and that's when I made my pro debut.
Sure, and we're definitely going to get into that. But before I even get into that, how would, for maybe some new fans or somebody that's never seen you fight before, how would you describe your fighting style?
That's a tough one. I would have to say, best way to describe it is a boxer puncher. It's a unique style. I can adapt to however my opponent is fighting. I could box. I could brawl. If you watch a lot of my fights, you'll see that I could be able to box. A lot of people, they label me as just like a straightforward Mexican fighter. I go to the body. That I do a lot. That I prefer, but it doesn't mean that I don't have those other other stuff in my arsenal.
For sure. So getting back to the professional career and your beginnings. Your beginnings wasn't like most fighters, especially the fighters that are kind of signed and they get to pad their record a little bit with against fighters with upside down records. You were, I guess you can almost say, like the B sides of most of those fights, and you basically explained how hard it is to be somebody that's kind of expected to lose almost, and you just win all those fights and upset them.
Yeah. So you said it perfectly. My career even my pro debut was tough. I never had easy fights. It was all tough fights. I wasn't throwing no tomato cans or what they say. I don't like to call fighters tomato cans, but what they say, tomato cans or easy fights. They never padded my record. And I was always thrown to the lions right away. For my very first fight, I fought a fighter that was, he was, good in amateurs. He went to the nationals and stuff like that. I fought a lot of national standouts and amateurs. So, I never had it easy, but that's not what we wanted. We didn't want it easy. We wanted those, those hard fights for me to grow. And they made me the fighter that I am now. And I think a lot of people underestimate my KO ratio because I only have 9 KOs, but it's because of that reason. I had hard fights coming up, so but it's a good thing. It's a good thing because when I step in the ring, they feel the power and they like, oh, snap! This guy could punch. For
sure. And so at one point in time, you're 10-0, I believe 22, 23 years old, something around there. You make I guess it's you and your team, you and your father make the decision to make the move to Las Vegas to kind of, I guess, jumpstart your career, if you want to call it that, or boost it more. What goes into that decision, and what kind of sacrifices did you guys make having to move from New Mexico to Las Vegas?
So basically, me and my dad decided that Albuquerque wasn't the place to be for boxing. There was not really too much opportunity there. And, I told my dad, let's try Vegas because California was too expensive for us. And we're like, okay, I agreed with them. We came out here in October of 2016 to just check it out, to see the scene and see what was going on. And that's when we checked out Floyd Mayweather Boxing Club. And, Floyd was actually there when he had seen me spar, and we sparred. He liked me, and then we went back to Albuquerque. Me and my dad discussed things, and we're like, let's move out there in 2017. And in March 2017, we made the move out here, and then we just started training at Mayweather Boxing Club. And from there, I got the attention of the staff. They're like, oh, who's this kid? He's pretty good. The word was getting around who I was, and I had told, and Floyd stepped into the gym, and he's like, who's that kid? And all the staff were telling him, that's Angelo Leo, he's 10-0. Then I approached Floyd one day. I was like, hey, Floyd, you think you can put me on one of your cards? He's like, yeah, I got you. He called up Leonard Ellerby and told him, there's this kid from Albuquerque, he's 10-0, and let's see, we're looking to put him on a card, see if you can put him on a card or sign him. And that's exactly what happened. That year, 2017, in November, is when I got signed with Mayweather Promotions.
For sure. Awesome. And so you end up reaching the goal, which basically anybody that grows up wanting to box, the ultimate goal, which is to become a world champion. You got to that level and you reached it. Explain to us how rewarding was that feeling for you when you finally won that first world title?
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was words can't describe it. Words can't describe it. It was a dream come true. Literally, it was a dream come true because I had this dream ever since I was, 9 years old, 10 years old, and to see it just play out, it's inspiration because I was that little kid at one time, looking at all these fighters, all these stars, and I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to be like the Delos, the Vargases, the Pacquiaos, the Mayweathers, and it happened. It happened, and it felt really good. It's not the end of it though. It's not the end of it, and I still got a lot to go. I still got a lot to prove to myself, to my fans, to everyone.
For sure. And so now to touch base a little bit on the not so fun part of that story, you did eventually end up losing your title. But I would imagine that having it and losing it just makes you that much hungrier now that you've had that taste of what it's like to be a world champion. Would you agree with that? You have like an extra motivation now to win yet another title?
Definitely. It definitely gives me confidence knowing that if I'd done it once, I could do it again. And the first time I won the world title, it was bittersweet because it was COVID, and I wasn't really able to enjoy it the way I wanted to. I wanted to fight in front of a crowd and stuff like that, and it wasn't there. But the show goes on. Regardless, I still won a world title, and that's something I'll always have. I could always say that I won a world championship. I did lose the world title to Fulton, and that ain't the end of it though. A loss doesn't define me, and I'm ready to get back in there and win another world title.
For sure. And I mean, back to the whole thing of being in an empty crowd. I mean, you're an action fighter, so even people that might not know you, when they're in the arena and they just see you, all out action, you start getting new fans even in the arena. So I'm sure that was kind of weird to you too.
Yeah.
And it was like in Connecticut or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Connecticut. It just wasn't the thing I imagined, the thing I dreamed of as a kid growing up.
For sure. And so we haven't seen you in the ring, I believe, since like mid 2021 or something along those lines. What's going on with you? What's next for you? Do you have any idea when you might possibly be back in the ring?
Yeah. So right now we're working on things. We're talking to our promotions, but we're thinking around March, April, May. In the next coming months, I'm always in shape. I stay in shape, so whenever they tell me, I'm ready. But it shouldn't be no less than 3 months.
Okay. For sure. And then right before we switch to the next segment, I've always wanted to ask you where you get your nickname of Chinito. Where do you get that nickname from, or Chino?
So my great grandpa is from China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my great grandpa is from China, and they migrated to Mexico, like in the 30s or in the 40s, and so that's the reason why they call me Chino.
Oh,
Chinito,
okay.
yeah.
That's crazy. I thought it was because of the curls, because the hair.
Oh no, yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that too, but no, it was because of my great grandpa.
For sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people mistake me for Filipino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they think I'm Filipino. I just tell them no, I'm Mexican, but
sure.
I got a little bit of Chinese in me.
For sure. All right, man. Sounds good. Well, to transition into the next segment, I do have 3 upcoming fights for you, and I just want to see what you think about it and a little bit of a breakdown. Okay. So the first fight that I have for you is the Stevenson versus Valdez fight, April 30th. What do you think about that fight?
Well, that's a good fight. I know a lot of people are counting Valdez out, but he's a world champion. You can't count out a world champion. And I know he always comes in there and he always puts on a good show. He always comes in and he gets the job done. He's undefeated for a reason. So is Shakur. Shakur's distance and his footwork are probably the best in the game right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'd have to say I'm going to go with Valdez on that one, though.
For sure. Cool, man. And then the next one that we have for you is the Jose Ramirez versus Pedraza. Jose Pedraza, I believe, is his first name.
Yeah, Pedraza and Ramirez. That's a good fight too. You know, Mexico, Puerto Rico, they always bring good fights. But I have to say, I have to go with Ramirez on that one. But you can't count out Pedraza. He's very slick in there. But I don't think he just has the firepower to keep Ramirez off of him.
For sure. And then the last one that I got for you is the Spence versus Ugas.
Spence and Ugas. Oh, that's a good fight there.
Ugas is kind of tricky.
He is tricky. Yeah, he's tricky. I haven't really thought about that one, so that's gonna be an interesting one as well. I know when was Spence's last fight? When he fought
Was it Danny?
It was Danny, right?
Last December, I think, or the end of 2020.
It was end of 2020. Yeah, that's been a while. And
because he was gonna fight Pacquiao, and then he had the corn.
Yeah, that's right. He's had a lot of injuries. Yeah, Spencer had a lot of injuries. I don't know.
Car accident, and then the red detention.
Those are serious injuries right there. So I don't know.
And Ugas has an amazing jab.
He does, yeah. He does. So it all comes down to what Spence shows up that night.
Sure.
Which Spence shows up that night, because with those kind of injuries, with those kind of layoffs, they could switch up a fight right away.
Very cool. For sure, man. So to finish things up, this is just kind of some fun stuff for the fans to really get to know you. We call it 12 rounds. It's just kind of some fun, like getting to know you questions. It's 12 of them, and then we'll finish up with that. Okay? Yeah. All right, cool. So the first one that I got for you is, what is the first thought that enters your head when you wake up in the morning?
I don't know. That's a good question. I never thought about that one, but
it's always different.
Yeah, I'm usually hungry, so food.
All right, for sure. That's a common one. Yeah. Question number 2 is, what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
Favorite cartoon? I'd have to say at first it was Dragon Ball Z, and then after that it had to be SpongeBob.
For sure. Hey, I like SpongeBob.
SpongeBob is funny, yeah.
Question number 3 is, what was the first type of cell phone you ever had?
My first cell phone was a Motorola Razr.
Okay.
In middle school, my dad got me that.
Question number 4 is, what is your favorite thing to eat after weigh-ins?
After weigh-ins, usually we just go for pasta. Yeah, just go for like some spaghetti.
A little carb overload.
That's it. Yeah. I heard it's not good though. I'm hearing from a lot of strength and conditioning coaches now that pasta's not the way to go. So probably switch it up the next fight.
Is there maybe depending on what state you're in, is there like certain restaurants that you like? Like, is there a good pasta place here or in LA or something, depending when you're fighting? Or it's just whatever, Olive Garden or whatever?
Yeah, basically just anywhere we can get some Italian food.
For sure. Question number 5 is, what is an Angelo Leo music playlist like? So if we took your phone and just shuffled it, what kind of music and artists are we going to find in there?
You're gonna see a lot of hip hop, a lot of old school, a lot of new school as well. I basically listen to everything. A lot of Mexican music, reggaeton, corridos, hip hop, rap, all that good stuff.
Sure.
Tupac. Got anything from Tupac to Lil Uzi to Vicente Fernandez to Bad Bunny. Oh, you name them.
For sure.
Yeah.
You got a lot of variety. For sure. Question number 6 is, if a movie was made about your life story, who do you think would play you?
Who would play with me? Oh, that's a good one. Let me see.
You guys know any Filipino?
Oh, what's that one? What's his name?
Maybe Cap G?
No, Cap G. Does he even act?
No, he was in one movie, and I always thought he was Asian. I forgot. I didn't even know he was Mexican.
Movie, he was.
Isn't it? I think it was the movie Dope.
High school. Yeah, Dope.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, I thought it was an Asian guy before I saw that it was. I never.
No, I was thinking of Blue Diamond Phillips, the one that plays Stand and Deliver. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Young Blue Diamond Phillips or old Blue Diamond Phillips?
Young Blue Diamond.
The young cat.
I don't know how you
La
look.
Bamba.
La Bamba, yeah, there you go.
Bamba.
All right, cool, man. Question number 7. I know that you're a huge sneaker guy. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to give me one, but what would you say is your favorite sneaker of all time?
Jordan 4s.
Jordan 4?
Yeah.
Any
Jordan.
specific ones?
Jordan. I'd have to say.
Or is it just because you're wearing them?
No. I got 2 pairs of these. I got these ones right here, the white Oreos, and then I have the Breads. But I have to say the Breads or the cement grays.
All right, cool. Question number 8 is I know you're a big travel person. I always see you traveling after fights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have a lot of them, but what's one place that you really want to travel to right now?
Right now, I'd have to say probably Hawaii or Rome.
Have you been there before to Hawaii?
No, I've never been to Hawaii.
For sure. That might be the next one after
Yeah,
the next fight.
either Hawaii, or Rome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Question number 9 is when you're in between fights and you get to loosen up on your diet a little bit, what's your favorite I guess junk food to eat? It could be like a certain candy or a certain restaurant or a certain type of meal.
I'd have to say cookies.
Cookies?
Yeah, cookies. Chocolate chip cookies.
For real?
Specifically chocolate chip cookies.
Some grandmas?
Either no. I could go for have you ever been to Insomnia's?
No.
Insomnia. It's it's a store dedicated just for cookies.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Wow.
I go to Crumble.
Crumble's good. I was just about to say Crumble.
I was about to say, yeah.
But Crumble kind of, every time you eat it, you almost regret it. It's too big.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I have to eat half, only half, and then the next I save.
Yeah.
For sure.
Those are really good though.
Question number 10 is if you weren't a professional boxer, what career field do you think you would be in? What would you be doing right now if you weren't a boxer?
If I wasn't a boxer, I'd probably be
What could you guys picture him as? If you guys seen him walking down the street, what would you think?
Barber or a shoe
A
reseller.
barber?
Yeah.
I've thought about that.
I'll say real estate agent.
Real estate agent?
Real estate agent.
Okay.
Or you own your own clothing store with shoes. You got the style, you got the swagger.
Yeah. All that makes sense right there. Yeah, honestly, because I'm
I would have done all that.
Yeah, actually, me and my dad are flipping houses right now, so
okay.
I'm already starting to dabble into
There you
the
go.
real estate, and then I have had it's crossed my mind to make my own brand,
Oh, yeah.
create my own brand, but if anything, I like to cook a lot. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I like to cook a lot. So I'd probably be a chef or
Like hood meals.
hood meal.
I see.
yeah, something like that. I'd probably be grilling and stuff like that. But,
I seen the cooking thing on
BT's.
BT's channel.
Yeah.
Yes, shout out to True School Sports.
Yeah.
For sure. Question number 11 is if you could talk to an 18-year-old Angelo Leo, what advice would you give him? An 18-year-old version of yourself.
Yeah.
It could be about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be about boxing.
What would I tell him? I tell him, yeah, that's a good one. I wouldn't really tell him nothing because I can't think I don't regret nothing I did.
You
That
wouldn't-
18-year-old person is the person that made me today.
You
So
wouldn't at least tell him don't stress. You're gonna be a world champion.
yeah.
I already went to the future. I rewinded a little bit.
Yeah, I'd probably just tell him, just keep doing what you're doing, because
Sure.
he was on the right path back then.
Even in the struggles where you maybe doubted it a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
For sure.
It wasn't even up until before I won my world title. During that COVID and pandemic, I was pretty down. I was just I was seeing fighters my age coming up and they're winning world championships and world titles, and I was like, you know what, I'm 26. I want that world title already. I've been working at it ever since I was 18. I was already starting to get impatient, and it came. It came.
You're already talking to yourself and you don't even know it.
Yeah. So even up until 2 years ago, I would have told myself, just keep at it and relax. Everything's gonna be all right.
Sure. Cool, man. And then the final question that we do have for you is, if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be? Just one time.
Let me see. They're alive.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity. It could be like maybe a family member you lost or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I have a couple. That'd probably be one of my cousins, close cousin. That he was I looked up to him when I was younger, because he was a really good graffiti artist and a tattoo artist, and so he's the one that got me into art. I don't know if you guys know, but I was really into graffiti art and art when I was, even before boxing.
Right.
That was like my passion, was art, and he's the one that got me into it. So I would like to, have dinner with him and pick his brain a little bit more.
Sure.
Other than that, it'd probably be like someone like Tupac. Tupac was pretty wise in his, for being his age, for being only 25 years old. He was beyond his years.
Sure. Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate you giving me some time, man. Thank you so much. Before we do let you go, do you have any final words for your sponsors, family, friends, and do you have any social media you want to give out?
Yeah. No, I just want to tell everyone, thank you guys for following my career. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be here pretty soon. I know you guys are all waiting, but it's coming. Trust me. And just shout out to all my friends, my families, my fans. Everyone, appreciate your support, and thank you guys. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Angelo Leo.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. Well, thank you so much for watching another episode of Box Talk with Luis Madrid. God bless.